So we're all using AI for helping us doing our coding. Maybe we're using it as Copilot. Maybe we're going to ChatGPT to give us code blocks. Well, we wanted to see what it would be like to generate code from just a prompt and saying, build me this entire project. How far could we push the limits? So that's what we're going to show you today. We're going to use a single project that we're trying to build across a number of different tools, and we'll see how they do. Okay, so starting with MetaGPT, we're going to feed in this requirement that you see on your screen. It's basically building an app to onboard employees locally to track it. We're talking to a couple APIs, and it'll be a little web interface. So with MetaGPT, you type in this Python startup py, and you type in your requirements, and then it's going to start spitting stuff out. Okay, so we're back. It spit some things out. Now let's go and see what it did for us. Okay, so looking into our directories here, we've got these, it's built some API docs for us, very bare bones, it's not even fully complete. And we've got a Python file. It's going to be like a Flask app, I guess, and it really doesn't have much logic at all. So this is not very good. However, if we open up these other files, we've got these a competitive analysis to see where our internal tool would be our target product. It built a data API design doc for it, and it built us a sequence diagram. So maybe the code's terrible, but being able to do the requirements with this, it's pretty neat. Let's try something else. Let's try this GPT-Engineer. So all you do here is you actually have a prompt file. And so I just took and copy and pasted what we had done for MetaGPT a few moments ago. But what I also added all of this context around what the API docs look like. Great, so it asked me a bunch of clarification questions. And this is a unique thing for the GPT-Engineer project because it goes back and tries to get more context for its own understanding. Okay, so I've quickly gone ahead and just given it some more context based on its questions. I press enter. It's got even more clarification questions. Say I've had enough, I can just press C to move on, and it can make its own assumptions. So a little bit of time passed. It asked me if I want to run this code that it just did. Type yes, and it did a bunch of stuff. Okay, so let's start looking at how this code did. So we got this main file. It actually didn't seem to generate the main file at all. Maybe it's called web app is maybe the intended one. Like it's very bare bones. It doesn't have any logic here at all. This too doesn't have too much to work with GPT-Engineer. So the last tool I'll show today is something called Aider. Aider is a pair programmer tool. So let's take a look at how it works. All right, so remember how I showed you the code that was generated from GPT-Engineer and how it didn't actually make a main.py file. So what I can do is I'm going to go and post in what the error is that I got from trying to run it. And right away it figured it out. Based on the requirements, it looks like you need to create a new main.py file. Do you want to create it? Sure. Great, so now I just went back and ran that run.sh script. Of course, it got a huge error back, trying to talk to some API. So it was like a massive dump of text. So watch this, I'm gonna put it in and let's see what it does. This is the whole error. So wow, look at this. It actually looked to figure out what the Canada Post API is and put in a better baseline there. And then it committed it to the project. So in keeping with the theme of trying to innovate faster, while some of the code that we've generated through these projects is really poor, it's not taking us too far. If you look back a year ago, we really didn't have much of this technology at all. So this is really exciting to even think about where we're going to be in a year. Can we just type in a project idea and it'll just magically build it in just a few minutes? So thank you to Clio for giving us the opportunity to spend time exploring these ideas, and I hope you learned something today.